After you've spiraled and you're at the bottom, you feel chaotic, and chaos breeds desperation. Then, when you're desperate in survival mode, you search for a temporary fix. Then, that temporary fix brings you relief. Then that relief brings complacency. You're no longer desperate and in survival mode, so you're not as motivated, as inspired, so you stop working. Complacency leads straight back to chaos. Some guys are stuck in that cycle for decades. You can only change your life in two ways. Welcome to the Rising Father podcast. I'm Chris Rodack. I was debating between two different subjects today to talk about. I think I'm going to lean into one. I just had a call with a guy, and he talked about this being an issue for him, something he wanted to overcome. And I'll probably dig into that. The thing he was talking about was leaning on your wife too much and using her as a sounding board for all the problems in your life and rushing to her for comfort all the time. That's a bigger problem than you might think. Maybe that's you who does that. You're going through a very stressful time. You're anxious, you're depressed, maybe fearful, doubtful. You feel like you're spiraling, and you're always reaching out to your wife for comfort. It's kind of like a pacifier. She's become a pacifier to you, somebody that makes you feel good. But now your relationship has changed to the point where she knows when she picks up that phone, she goes, well, what's wrong? That's the talk I had with this guy. And I remember being there for a certain phase. I remember it wasn't a long phase, but I remember having a phase of my life when I was there because I was so frustrated with where I was, and I saw where I wanted to be and I wasn't making progress, and I saw my life slipping away, and I was like, why can't I get myself to do the things I know I have to do? Like, I don't want to be in this body. Why can't I just not eat? Why can't I just not have a snack? Why is it so hard for me when other people are doing it? Why can't I just get myself to go to the gym? How come when the alarm goes off, I just can't get up? Like, it was like I was living as a prisoner inside of myself. It's like, who is this guy that is keeping me stuck? But that's bullshit, because it was just me. It's like, who is this guy? It's like, no, these are the patterns that I've developed from laziness and complacency and running from hard things, never testing myself. That feeling of frustration and despair and hopelessness doesn't happen in one day. It's the result of thousands of actions over years. It's the result of taking the easy road thousands of times over a decade. And it compounds into somebody who feels broken, somebody who feels depressed, somebody who feels like, who looks at himself and is just so frustrated because they know the person they want to be is far off, is a year or more of work away. And you get this horrible sinking feeling and you want relief. So you call your wife, and she tells you everything's going to be okay. She becomes a pacifier to you. And that's not the way it should be. Yet many men use their wife in that sort of way. And then you won't be surprised when they don't want to spend that much time with you. They don't want another baby. They don't want another child to raise. They want a man who's going to come home and take the burden off of them. They don't always want to be the person shouldering your burden because you've decided over the last 10 years to be lazy, complacent, and make thousands of easy decisions. And now, because you've created a mess of yourself, instead of doing the hard thing and fixing it, we want a pacifier. We want something to make us feel good right now. So you'll call your wife, she'll say everything's okay. You'll talk to her until you feel good. You'll hang up the phone. Maybe those scary feelings go away for a little bit. Then you grab a Snickers because that makes you feel good. Yet all these things are just Band-Aids for the real issue, and that is a lack of strength within you. It's a lack of willpower. It's a lack of discipline, no consistency. It's just a weakness that pervades you, that stops you from the life you could have, a free, confident life as a leader, somebody who can actually lead themselves, somebody that can actually provide inspiration to his family, that they don't avoid. Like that guy I'm describing he's somebody who eventually his wife and kids are just like, yeah, I love you, Dad, but I don't want to be near you. Like, love you, don't want to hang out with you because you're miserable, stressed, shut down. There are so many of those guys out there. There are so many of those miserable, shut down, cranky, depressed guys. And you feel bad for them. Yeah, it's a sad thing. But also, they need somebody to kick them in the ass. They need somebody to say, quit moping, quit saying, woe is me, quit acting like a tough guy and then crying to your wife every night. Get up and do the hard thing. Like your emotional despair right now isn't because you just fought a war. It's because you ate McDonald's on the way home from work. Like let's not pretend we're a knight here, coming home from battle. Like no, your despair right now is because you're demonstrating infant-like behavior. You cannot tell yourself no from doing things that are bad for you in the long term. So no, you don't need somebody to say, good job, you're doing fine. You need somebody to say, quit acting like an infant. Get up and do what you know you have to do. Stop eating so much. Stop drinking so much. Stop looking at porn so much. Do the hard thing. Stop looking for pleasure everywhere you can, hopping from thing that feels good to thing that feels good. Can you stop doing that for one day and finally do something that's difficult? Because the guy that's there is a misery to everyone. He brings everyone down. His wife avoids him, his kids avoid him, and that person turns into that muttering old man in the corner. It doesn't start there. You don't start as a 70-year-old cranky, muttering old man. You start as a 35-year-old guy who's allowed himself slip since his 20s and starts to get in his head, starts to get a little anxious and stressed and fearful, sees himself slipping, sees his relationship slipping, his work slipping. He sees that he every year has less and less control over himself, and that makes him frantic and frustrated. And instead of sitting in that discomfort and finding a way out of that suffering state, he will then numb the pain with food, more alcohol, more things that put him there, which means he cannot be motivated by the pain to change because he's numbing it. It's like somebody who's driving in a car towards a cliff and they can't handle the fear, so they shut their eyes and put earmuffs on, even though they're going closer and closer to the cliff, when the thing they have to do is take action, stop the car and turn around. But the fear is so intense for them. The feeling of fear is so painful for them, they would rather be surprised by death than experience the fear right now. So they numb it on the way to their death. That is what happens to many a men. I would say most guys are stuck. Most guys don't change. Most people don't change. You know, I think about the amount of people that apply to do my program and, just programs across the country, the amount of people that sign up to a gym and don't go, the amount of people that buy a business course and don't do it, the amount of people that apply to the Men of Fire program but never book a call, the amount of people that book a call but never go all the way in. Like the guys in our program, I have so much respect for. And God, every group you join is always a pyramid. You know, there's in work, in any community, any group you join, in church, there's always a pyramid of people. There's people who, they're eagles, as Jim Rohn says. There's eagles, and then there's crows, and there's doves, and there's a lot of other people. But the eagles are the ones who change their life. A small sliver of people change their life. I'm in the business of life changes. I use my life as a model. And this guy I was talking to was like, yeah, man, I feel the pain you're in. I did that same thing. I remember being at work, teaching, calling my wife and being like, I need a pacifier. Like, I need to feel better right now. That's what it was. I called my wife because I needed to feel better. Thank God I'm out of that. Thank God I'm a different person. And it didn't come from searching for things to feel better. It came from sitting in that suffering and finding my way out of it. Not just on my own. I paid a lot of money for coaches to help me with my brain, to help me with my thoughts, my perspective. I joined groups and programs. I listened to podcasts, read books, and brainwashed myself. So I filled my head with information, and then I took massive action on it. I wasn't one of these guys who just suffers for 20 years and doesn't do anything about it. You know, I was like, okay, this is not good. I need to make a change. But I actually did something about it. Invested in myself, made a change. And thank God I did. Like, I would pay 100 times anything I paid to not feel like that again. I hated it. I hated feeling. You feel so weak. You feel so weak. And if someone can help me not feel weak, they're priceless to me. Like, if someone can help me feel strong, then that means that's invaluable. And here's a couple reasons why guys do stay stuck. And I wrote these down. I just made a post about it on my Instagram account. So I said most guys will stay stuck not because they don't want to change or don't think they should change, because the pain of their actions isn't bad enough to them. It might be causing others immense pain, but the effect is ignored on the other people. You're selfish in that state. Whenever you're in a bad, shut down state and you're saying, woe is me, things are like, you're in a selfish position. It's like the pebble in your boot that you ignore until it becomes an infected wound. Like you can feel that pebble in your boot and you know you should do something about it, but you don't because it doesn't hurt bad enough. And then you keep hiking, you keep fishing, it gets wet, it gets soggy, it gets infected, then it becomes a wound. And you're like, now I have to do something about it because I didn't just sit down on a log, take my boot off. You're like, I don't feel like sitting down. I don't want to change my socks because you didn't want to do the work to get this pebble out of your boot. Now you have an infected foot that you are forced to take action on. I remember a call I had with a guy who he was like 400 pounds, not exaggerating, 400 pounds. And on the call, he told me that his doctor said he has 5 years to live. And, 5 years to live if he doesn't change his ways. But he was so happy, which is a good thing to be happy, but he did not think his situation was bad, even knowing that he had 5 years to live. And I straight up asked him, I said, so what's going to happen if you don't do anything? He's like, well, a hospital will show up, or the ambulance will show up, and I'll probably have a heart attack. I said, are you listening to the words you're saying? Are you understanding the gravity of, your wife won't have a husband. Your kids will not have a father because you want to eat. because you like the way things taste in your face. Because of that, you're going to deprive your entire family of a person. You're going to deprive them of you. So it's very much like guys have these problems. They know that they've got a health problem, a vice problem, any kind of a discipline problem, consistency problem, a business problem, finance problem, but they just ignore it. And it's like that pebble in your boot. It just keeps on. You can feel it always. And until you deal with it, it just gets more intense, more intense, more intense, until you're finally forced. And a majority of guys do nothing until they're forced to. There's a guy in my group, shout out to Lewis, who I remember, he joined us and he said, I don't want to be a father who has regrets. I'm joining so that he didn't even have a kid yet. He had his first baby with us in the program. He's been with us like a year and a half now. We've watched him build his family with us. And every single call, he's got a notepad out. He's taking notes. He's journaling. He's got a recording of every single one of our calls. So he's got like 300 some calls that he listens to. He's like, I want to be the best father possible. I don't want to be a father with regrets. And I'm going to learn from all of you before I have my kid. Only guy to ever say that. And, because some guys are like, well, I can't do this because I don't have a kid. It's like, doesn't matter. Do you want to be a good person? That's what this is. And that was him. He's like, yeah, I want to not live with regrets. So I'm going to make sure that from day one, I'm the best father possible. And that's what he's doing. He avoided this of that little pebble in your boot that keeps on getting louder and louder and louder. And the pain just keeps on getting more intense and more intense and more intense. And eventually you're forced to do something. Like some guys, their foot doesn't get infected, but their wife says, yeah, if it wasn't for the kids, we'd be divorced right now. Or they say, like, we are getting divorced. Or they say, like, things aren't going, like, you get a wake-up call in your marriage. Or some guys have a massive health problem. You're in your 30s, your joints and body can still kind of handle your weight, but your organs are just dying on the inside. And in a couple years, your joints and body and muscles are also going to rot away faster than anyone else's. And then it'll catch up with your organs and you'll have a massive health problem. But now you're in your 30s, and you don't do anything. Or your finances are just going crazy with credit card debt and you just don't look at it because you don't want to know until, boop, the card's declined. And then you're forced to look at it and you're in a massive problem. All of these issues are complete weak leadership. It's a complete lack of leadership. And it's putting your burden on somebody else. Like, it doesn't just affect you. If you're the blessing of the responsibility of fatherhood, it doesn't just affect you. It affects everybody. Many guys put all that burden on their wife. Like, she takes care of the finances. She does she does everything. Like, I'm the one who's going to go to work. And they say that's what I'm going to do. And then they convince themselves that that's enough to do because they're the one providing. And it's like, no, you're leaving all of the details and all the responsibility to everyone else. And then on top of that, if you then make yourself a burden to those people, then they're, what are you doing? Who are you being? Like, is that the kind of father you want to be? So I said, it's like the pebble in your boot you ignore until it becomes an infected wound and you are forced to address it. Life is just good enough or not quite bad enough to get them to take action. Then life gets real bad, real quick, and it's always a shock. They're always surprised. They say, this came out of nowhere. Or out of nowhere, your wife says, we're not making it. Or a heart attack happens, or your boss gives you a warning, or the bank calls. Then you scramble to survive, make a little bit of progress, feel good, get complacent, and then repeat the cycle. Talked to many a guy like that. I also was there where I'd be in the motivated, complacent cycle. I get motivated some days once I spiraled and my life turned to chaos. Or I looked at myself and said, you're too fat. Then I would go on a binge. of working out and eating healthy, and that would only last a little bit. And then once I made some progress and didn't feel as bad about myself, I would once again start up the bad habits, get complacent, spiral, and then I'd find myself getting motivated again. And if you zoom out, you're not making any progress at all. You know, you're staying the same. Every single January you're inspired, every single June you're complacent, and you repeat. It's like Groundhog's Day. You're repeating the same year for decades. And every single year your wife is getting older, your kids are getting older, they're getting closer to moving out. The connection with your wife is getting weaker. She's starting to drift. The way you feel about yourself is drifting. Your identity is drifting. All from running from fear, running from discomfort, refusing to get uncomfortable, refusing to do the things that you know you have to do. You get motivated, you act, you make some progress, then you get complacent, then you spiral, then you get motivated. Here's why. When you're in that, after you've spiraled and you're at the bottom, you feel chaotic. And chaos breeds desperation. You get desperate. You go into survival mode. Then, when you're desperate in survival mode, you search for a temporary fix. You want to stop the bleeding. You look for a Band-Aid. Then that temporary fix brings you relief. It's like you're getting surgery in the Middle Ages and they throw some alcohol down your face. You know, if you have a little bit of relief, then that relief brings complacency. You're no longer desperate and in survival mode, so you're not as motivated, as inspired, so you stop working. Then complacency leads straight back to chaos. Some guys are stuck in that cycle for decades. You can only change your life in two ways. The pull of the life that you want has to be stronger than the pain of the life you're in. Okay? The pull of the life that you want has to be stronger than the pain that your current life is causing. But if you're a guy who constantly numbs his pain with vices and food and alcohol or distraction, then you are causing massive destruction to your kids who you're not playing with, who you're not present with, who you don't have energy for, who you're not preparing life for, who you're not teaching, who you're burdening, your wife who doesn't get a flirtatious, passionate, strong, confident leader of a husband, who instead gets a massive baby to take care of. Like, they're suffering whether you numb your pain or not. So numbing your pain is being twice as irresponsible because you're punishing everyone in your family, and then you're making yourself feel good knowing that everyone else is still feeling like crap. That's the guy who says, yeah, I'm good enough. Or, I can wait till next month. I'll wait till things are better for me, till I make a change. It's like, okay, I know you're willing to wait, but you're also making your children and wife wait. I know you want things to be perfect and comfortable and convenient, but your wife is still suffering you in the meantime. Your kids are still getting an unpresent father, an unenergetic father right now. Your whole family is lacking leadership. Are you willing to let your entire family go leaderless while you figure it out? Are you willing to let your entire family go leaderless while you wait for a more perfect and convenient time? Is that your justification to yourself? Can't be. So you have to have a vision for the life that you want. Do you know who you want to be? I remember writing in my journal, I want to be this guy. I want to speak like this guy. I want to be a powerful speaker. I want to feel confident. I want to look confident. I want my body to be like this. I want to live in this kind of house. I want this kind of relationship with my wife and my kids. This is the kind of person I want to be. Crystal clear vision. When I walk into the home, I want my kids running up to me, giving me hugs and kisses. This is what I want me and my wife to talk to each other like. This is the vision I have for myself. Do you have a vision for yourself? that pull can be strong enough to get you to change, greater than your fears. That vision has to be stronger than, well, what if this doesn't work out? That vision has to be stronger than, well, I'm scared to move. That vision has to be stronger than, well, what if I don't commit? And what if I screw up again? The vision for who you want to be has to be stronger than your bad feelings. Because a lot of guys get themselves all pumped up to act, and then their bad feelings keep them from doing anything. Because they say, well, what if the worst? Who gives a damn? Are you going to die saying, well, what if the worst? Guess what? The worst is happening. You're dying. Nothing worse can happen to you right now. Oh, well, you try and you didn't do good. Get over it. The second thing that can inspire change is your current life can be so painful, you'll do anything to change. And that is when you have allowed yourself to spiral to the point of no return. And you think this is the bottom, but that guy will find a new bottom if he does nothing. So you've reached the bottom. You've reached what you think is the bottom. And life is so painful, you are inspired to act. So you can wait until that point. Because at that point, you're like, well, I have to get uncomfortable and change to change my life, and that's going to suck. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be inconvenient. It's going to I'm probably have to invest in myself. I'm probably going to have to do all these things, and I don't like that. That's uncomfortable. But my wife just told me that if I don't change, she's getting a divorce. And that's more uncomfortable. Or my doctor told me I've got 5 years left to live, and that's pretty damn uncomfortable. So I will either choose the pain of change, or I will choose the pain of staying the same. I will choose the hard of work, or I will choose the hard of the consequences of my actions. You're choosing either way. It's up to you. You will decide your reality moving forward. You are always choosing. Inaction, saying, I need to wait till things are perfect. I need to think about it. Saying, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready to do anything. I need to wait until next month, next year, next January. Things will be a little bit better for me to get moving. Life's too crazy right now. I have kids, maybe when they're older. You are choosing procrastination. Guys like to dress that up to make themselves feel good and say, I'm doing the logical, smart thing. But that is, once again, the person medicating themselves and that's once again a pacifier. You're not using your wife and calling her to make you feel good. You're using self-soothing lies to make yourself feel good. You procrastinate, you don't take action, and instead of owning up to it, you tell yourself a self-soothing lie to once again bridge over those troubled waters. So either the pull of the life you could have is stronger than the pain of your current life, or your current life is so painful you'll do anything to change. Those are the only two ways guys will make a massive life change. Until that happens, you're just stuck in an endless cycle, and you live life on repeat. It's when decades pass. I've talked to fathers whose kids have moved out, and they have massive, massive regret. I've talked to husbands who've got divorced, and they say, my goal now is to limit the amount of regrets in my life, and I wish I would have fought harder for my wife. I wish I would have fought harder for her. She gave me a gift, and I ruined it. I took advantage of it. I tarnished the gift of my wife. And they will never get it back. They will live with that pain and regret until the day they die. You have the chance to avoid that. Then, if you're that person and you choose to numb your pain, that's really scary. Because you can no longer use pain as a motivator. It's like you see a homeless person on drugs on the side of the road. You're like, why do they stay like that? Why do they stay in that state? I'm talking specifically about the person who's on drugs on the side of the road. Well, it's because they're always high. They're always on drugs. It's anytime they feel pain, they don't say, "Okay, I need to get my shit together." And I'm not talking about the guy who's mentally ill and has those issues. I'm talking about the person who has the choice and the capability to do it, but instead of taking action, is medicating themselves. And you don't have to be a homeless drug addict to do that. You can just be a guy who, instead of looking at himself, feeling shame, and taking action, you grab a Snickers and scroll your phone. That's the same thing. So, my message to you is do not wait until your life explodes to make a change. That is reactive weakness. That is not leadership. You have to fix the small irritants before they cripple your progress, and your family pays the price. So stop procrastinating. Stop running from all fear, running from everything uncomfortable. Let yourself feel the pain of the situation that you have caused. Let yourself feel the consequences, the weight of what you've done. You've created the reality you are now living in. It's now time to suck it up. It's now time to take action. Either you take action or your family gets the burden. Decide to rise.